Hi, my name is Kathy. I debated a lot about making this video because, to be frank, I don't really crave attention, and I am very comfortable sitting in the back of the room and just being invisible. But I wanted to share my story with you because I think some people might benefit from me sharing, especially being molested as a child and growing up in church as a Christian. Like, how did it affect me, and how it is still affecting me, and how I came to reconciliation between the two growing up. First of all, I wanted to share with you the Bible verse from Genesis. So Genesis 16, 6 to 16 reads, "Your slave is in your hands," Abraham said. "Do with her whatever you think best." Then Sarah ill-treated Hagar, so she fled from her. The angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was a spring that is beside the road of Shur. And he said, "Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from and where are you going?" "I'm running away from my mistress Sarai," she answered. Then the angel of the Lord told her, "Go back to your mistress and submit to her." The angel added, "I'll increase your descendants so much that you'll be too numerous to count." The angel of the Lord also said to her, "You're now pregnant and you'll give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard your misery. He'll be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him. And he will live in hostility towards all his brothers." She gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her, "You are the God who sees me." For she said, "I have now seen the one who sees me." That is why the well was called Bir Lahai Roi. It is still there between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar bore Abraham a son, and Abraham gave the name Ishmael to the son she had born. Abraham was 86 years old when Hagar bore him Ishmael. So my story, debilitating is probably an understatement. When I was little, I had 3 separate encounters with predators, child predators, on the streets. I dealt a lot with hate, anger, fury, and feelings of revenge. Like, what could I have done, and what I would have done if this would have happened to me now. And I struggled a lot with a lot of unforgiveness, and at the same time, growing up in church, I was told to forgive, and people ask me, like, why can't you drop it? Why can't you forgive? Why can't you move on? Yeah, so for over 20 years, I've just had so much struggles with this question. Being molested as a kid, and then growing up in an environment where I've been told to forgive. And there are many, many times that I blame myself for not being able to forgive so easily when other people seem like they forgave so easily. And to this day, it's still a constant struggle. And the message that I wanted to give to those who are Christian and who have been molested as a kid is that it is okay to go through that emotional roller coaster, and you don't have to force yourself to forgive or criticize yourself for not being able to forgive so easily. I want to tell you that it is completely okay to struggle and wrestle for a long time. It's totally fine. And but the most important part is coming to God and asking God the hard questions. Um, I've seen a lot of people who walk away from God when such hardships come. But you'll find that you can't run away from a creator. You know, even if we go to the mountains or valleys, God is always there because God created the world and everything has his fingerprints on it. So, yeah, ask him the hard questions. You might not get all the answers that you want, but through those questions and struggles, you'll find God's soft voice that tells you how much he loves you and how he was always there even when you experience those things, and how he was crying with you. And God tells you, God doesn't force you to forgive, even when we see into context. This slave named Hagar was raped, was abused by her owners, Abraham and Sarai. And I don't exactly know how old she is, but I'm guessing she may have been really young. And Abraham was 86 years old. So just imagine the amount of suffering and misery she had to go through. She was raped, and then she was, I think, physically abused by Sarah. Although we don't exactly know what happened, it says Sarah ill-treated Hagar to the point where Hagar had to leave. But nowhere in this context tell you that God is criticizing Hagar. There's no way, no word that says God criticizes her. It just says that God has seen her misery and pray this wonderful blessing over her life. And in this time, being a slave is almost equivalent to being a nobody. And in that time, and being a woman, and being a foreigner, and being young, Hagar probably felt like there's nobody who cared for her. But God is great. God intervenes and says, you know, all these blessings, not just in her life, but in her descendants' life, and tells her that he sees her, the God of Creator, the God who created everything in this life, the trees, the birds, the oceans, says, I see you. And it's such a significant passage that not only comforts my heart, but I hope it comforts your heart. That God is the God who sees you, and God is the one who judges fairly, and that he blesses abundantly to those who are going through misery. So what I want to tell you is take heart and be strong. Always seek God's face. Ask him hard questions. And you might not get the exact answers that you want, but he will respond. He'll respond with love. So don't give up.